overall today, we just want to highlight you, highlight your business, understand your story, and then
Yeah.
figure out how we can help you grow and take you to the next level. So why don't you tell us about your story, your background?
Yeah, awesome. So my name is Shar. A lot of my friends call me Shar. My last name's Roorda. And I've been doing hair for about 17 years. Um, I kind of got started because my mom and dad struggled a lot doing my textured hair as a kid. I was adopted, so they weren't real familiar with my texture. And so I spent a lot of time in different salons and just really grew to like love the cultural connectivity that I found there. And so I developed like a love for it. And I just kind of knew at an early age I wanted to do the same thing someday. And so fast forward a few years, I graduated high school, went straight into the cosmetology course. Um, Kind of uh, started doing hair and just learning basic, when you get out in the field, you kind of start learning the real stuff. Um, there was really kind of still a lack of knowledge for texture. We didn't really like learn very much about it um, in college. But being half black and having textured hair, people look at me and expect me to know these things. You do hair and you have textured hair, and why don't you know how to do it? So early on in my career, I really started like trying to put myself out there and learn how to do textured hair. I experimented on my own. And I really didn't say no to anything. So if somebody wanted me to like try something, I would just say, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I will try it. And so uh, I started getting really, really good at doing naturally curly hair on all different kinds of cultural backgrounds. I see pretty much every ethnicity, and I'm starting to get really, really good at it. And so, just with my own identity and background, I'm really sensitive to, making people feel good about their natural hair. I love when somebody learns how to do it in its natural state and feels really good about it. And along the way, I just kind of started picking up like, ways to incorporate self love and self identity kind of into, the hair process. So people started bringing their kids to me, and I would like teach them how to do their hair, make them feel good, and then, remind them that they're beautiful. And I just really felt like that was kind of my niche. It really was like self fulfilling for me. And like right before COVID, I had kind of made a decision to just be a little bit more intentional about it. My husband was a fireman for a while and developed PTSD on the job. And so had recently was not able to do firefighting anymore. So I had kind of been like a support income up until this point. And so all of a sudden I needed to be the sole provider in our family. And so it kind of pushed this idea of doing classes in warp speed. So I needed to take what I was already doing and add some more classes and to generate a little bit more income. So that's kind of what sped me up into a dream and a thought that I kind of already started developing to just like, you just need to go for it. And COVID hit. So I had two really, really great classes, and then COVID hit. And so I took a 2-year hiatus. But it did give me a chance to kind of like put some stuff together while I was down. And so now that we can start having, accumulated groups again, I thought, you know what, it's time to really do this again. So I just started putting stuff out there to get some feelers. Like, are you guys ready for this? Are you ready for classes again? And it's like an overwhelming, resounding yes, help us. So that's kind of where we are, I guess. Like, kind of like some bumps and hills along the way, but like here we are, and I'm doing it. I'm doing this thing.
There you go.
Love it.
There you go. So growing up, a lot of it had to come with learning your hairstyle, which mine same way, and then learning boys. I'm so glad I have 2 boys and not girls, because I would have no shot in hell. It doesn't matter. I would have no shot. Luckily, I can just go to the barber and have Tay take care of them. What have you found to be kind of the biggest, obviously COVID's a hurdle, but the biggest hurdle to you now in these classes? Is it just pure support and pure ability to deliver more, or kind of what's been the biggest hurdle for you?
There's so many hurdles, really. So it's hard to pinpoint one.
You can say multiple. It doesn't have to be one.
Yeah, I mean, even the people that come to the classes are so open to learning. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, I would have said like that might have been one of the hurdles, was just getting people to realize that they need the classes or to be more open. But we're kind of finding ourselves in a really great space right now where people are more open to be told like, hey, like cultural social awareness is a thing, and they're like open to that. So I think right now, one of my biggest things probably is just I would say that our state laws are a little bit hard to work around, and that seems like an unlikely answer, but there's just not a lot of support at a state level for required education. So like as an example, the schools are not required to include any kind of education on textured hair. So you will find new graduates don't know how to do anyone with black or brown skin's hair, which means that if you take yourself into a salon, they absolutely hands down can say, sorry, we don't do your kind of, which to me is, I feel like all hair, you should graduate and be comfortable on a base level with any kind of texture of hair. So that's not really happening in Iowa. And I feel that that is probably like our biggest struggle, is that there's really no push for that education or like standard or required. There's no requirements right now. So it's kind of just up to educators that feel like it's important enough to go out there and put the education out there themselves, because there's a school down here near Burlington where somebody had referred to them, called and said, hey, we're interested in having you come educate at college. And I said, okay, great. Well, what do you guys have to work with? What do you already know? Where are we starting from? And they don't even have mannequins. Like, they don't even give mannequins in the kits to the students that have textured hair. So, I would say that that's probably my biggest struggle, because if students were learning how to do this really well in school, there probably wouldn't be a need for people like me to go out and educate. Because, think about it. When you go to your barber or your cosmetologist, they tell you how to wear your hair. They educate you on how to wash it, how to dry it, how to style it. So if we had all of these.
Uh-oh. I don't know what to say about that.
I don't either.
She's connecting back on here.
Oh, sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back.
No picture.
Okay.
Maybe it's
so,
better.
I just tell my face, if there was more education on every level that way, I think there wouldn't be as much, there would be more equality all around. You wouldn't have that problem of like a parent trying to take their kid to a salon and them saying, no, you have to leave, we can't do your hair. That wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think kind of a common theme that we're hearing from a lot of our guests is education is regressive in the United States, and we need to catch up with the times. And you're mentioning it not only in hair, but we talked about it in the Common Core classes, and we talked about it in health education now. And now we're getting, with the textured hair. So being able to be an advocate for that, that's pretty awesome that you're willing to travel and do these classes and making sure that people are having the access to resources to get educated around those things.
Yeah. It gets me really excited, obviously. I could talk for hours about this stuff.
So what would you say you need help with?
Sorry, what was the question?
What would you need help with to reach the next level of your business, or as we speak about education, what would you need help with?
I mean, there's obviously like the tangible things, I need materials, like mannequins, stands, combs, brushes, product, that sort of thing, so those are kind of more like immediate needs, I guess. In like long-term, big picture, I would love to see the state of Iowa embrace more of that, more standardized education across the board. And I mean, we're talking about like cosmetology schools. So, it seems like it's such a controversial thing. In my mind, it's not. It's just learning what, you should be learning, all textured hair, all, but for some reason, it's kind of like this nobody wants to touch it kind of thing. So I would love it if I could appeal to the board to kind of get on like the cosmetology board, to kind of like push for more of that type of education. And so that being a support to me, I think, I would be able to then, if there was a standard, if there was a required course or something like that, in these schools. There's only like 13 schools in Iowa. But that would be a support to me then, because I could then go to these schools and say, hey, let me educate you. And then that would, residual effect of that would be supportive to me, because then I would have, I wouldn't be starting with like ABCs. We would already be like end of the alphabet. I could teach really cool stuff, because you would already have some core standard, clients coming to me would at least know how to detangle their kids' hair. We wouldn't have to start from the beginning. I don't know if that makes sense, if my answer makes sense, but I think that would be super helpful. There's not a lack of need, and I think that there's a need. I'm not getting much pushback from people that have these needs for themselves. What I need support from is people that maybe don't have a connection with this issue, but to have enough empathy for everyone else who does, to say, yes, this is an issue for you. And because it's an issue for you, I want to be supportive of that and help make this better for everyone. I would just love to see like more multicultural salons instead of there's a black salon over there, and then there's, everyone else can go to this salon. There's such a separation, so, and I think that would be supportive to kind of what I'm trying to do. Obviously, it might make me obsolete in the long run, because if everyone's educated and that's what I do, you might not need me. But ultimately, I'm trying to create a better Iowa for everyone. And if that means that my business is no longer needed, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And I think in our realm, we deal with finances all the time. So financial planners, and our education is vast. It does cover a lot of things. What you're saying, it has to be there for some reason. I don't know why it's not, like you're saying, but it needs to be there for a base education. And then you can go pick your expertise, right? Doctors, all of that, they all have a baseline. And then you go pick your expertise, which means, no, you won't be obsolete because you are an expert in your field. Where now they at least have a baseline.
You're not going to graduate from hair school and automatic, you're not going to be the best at anything, have a baseline. So then if you want to go, let's say you learn how to do locking, that's kind of, you might learn the bases of it in school, which right now no schools do the locking. But if you wanted to go get your hair locked, you have to, right now, you would need to go to a specialist, which means you're traveling, which is like, if they had a baseline, we might have more people that would break out into those specialties, making it more available and throughout Iowa. But yes, that's very good point with the specialties. And, like if you don't, let's say you went to high school and they didn't even teach you science at all, like how many people would specialize in science, they didn't even get exposed to it. So, you might not even know you like science if you didn't do just like the basics of it or math or any of the subjects. So just having a baseline of it, you might get some exposure to doing textured hair, find out you're actually really good at it, and then go out and do some of those specialties, which people will pay big dollars for because not many people do them. So it's not only good, but it's,
Absolutely.
So are you finding your clients or customers right now are more just salons across Iowa and you're going in and helping them rather than at the schools, it sounds like?
So right now I'm starting with individuals. So most of my clientele are white adopted parents of Black children or transracial families, because they're the ones that really are reaching out right now.
Families.
Schools are still getting paid for not educating. So they don't, as long as Iowa lets them not educate textured hair, that's what they're going to do. So they're not reaching out to me. And actually, so I had mentioned this school down near Burlington. So after we went through this whole consultation, and I told them what I had to offer, mind you, they told me they didn't even give out Black mannequins. So there's zero education right now on textured hair. I gave them my prices, which were very reasonable, and they never called me back because they don't really need me. Like they can still operate and educate and get all of the money from their students with just omitting a whole group of people from their education. So if that had been something that they had to incorporate into their program, I think they would have been really happy that they would have had me come in at a reasonable price to teach that for them. So most of my clientele right now is just the parents that have these kids that they need immediate help right now, or older kids that are starting to try and figure out how to do their hair. Maybe their parents never did take them in, but now they're really starting to want that for themselves. So like teenagers, high school, and really young adults are kind of like my clientele.
And do you do virtual trainings or do you do in person as well, or both?
So there are actually a lot. There's a few really, really good virtual education programs out there currently. One that I really like is Tutu Tennis Shoes. She's actually from the area, and then she moved out of the area. It was kind of like a vacuum when she left, and I got a bunch of her clientele. And so that kind of made me aware of her. I didn't know who she was before that, but all my clients were like, this great educator, and then she just left. And I actually got connected with her. She's so highly educated. She's like light years ahead as far as the science behind the textured hair. I'm a little bit more hands-on than she is at this point, though, which I really feel like you need both. And the reason that I want to stay local and hands-on is because when you have online, it's just different. It's not bad, but it's different. And you don't have somebody right next to you adjusting your hands or helping you move your positioning so that you can get a better angle. You just can't really do that online. The other reason that I highly suggest, if you're already doing online, to also incorporate hands-on is because I'm finding a lot of parents that are doing the online never actually take their kid into the culture. So like it means that they're able to keep their Black child away from Black spaces, never exposing them to these areas. And I really feel like that is actually super vital. So, you don't need to know how to box braid. You can leave that to professionals. So some of the online programming is going to teach you like how to box braid, which I'm like, that's a perfect opportunity to take your kid into a space where there are other professional Black men and women to just do it for you. And then that's their opportunity to get connected. And that's, for me, that was really life-changing, because I was adopted into a white space. That was like kind of the only connection that I had. And it was super, super important. So I would say the online works really well for people who are already immersed into a Black culture or maybe transracial family. It's not really that great if you are not exposing your kid to any Black culture whatsoever. I would say go actually do hands-on around Black educators with other stylists that look like your kids, so they have some representation.
Absolutely. And as we wind down a little bit, what's the last thing you want to tell everyone? What is the most important topic? Well, I think you just said it with the culture, but aside from that part, what is the most important thing that you want to let everyone know for you, your business, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like stay curious, let your kids try new things, and I would say, just even taking yourself out of your comfort zone to learn new techniques and expose yourself to new opportunities. Well, let's trying to think of something really impacting to say here, guys.
I mean, I think that's pretty impactful, like exposing to new opportunities.
What's that?
I just said I think what you're saying is actually really impactful. Like, it may seem small or not enough, but it's super important to expose them to those new opportunities.
I love that. I mean, I think it's just, like doing textured hair doesn't have to be super painful. And a lot of people are so scared of it and they think it's going to be like this awful experience. And there's so much, it can be so much fun, and it can be a really great way to connect with people, not only by just removing yourself from your current space into a space where you're not as comfortable and giving yourself that opportunity to learn, but also just like the actual act of doing the hair. And what I see a lot of times is like parents that are able to connect with their kids in a really different and beloved way. Whereas before, maybe it was like a really frustrating process. So being able to like make that process more enjoyable and like something that's really positive for people is really a part of my job that I absolutely love. And I think the main takeaway from this is that, I mean, a lot of people think that what I'm doing is for white people, and hopefully I don't say this like incorrectly. It obviously is. But it is so much for these children that maybe kind of lack some self-identity or, have maybe a few issues with connectivity to their culture, and being able to kind of be a bridge for that gap is something that I'm really excited about and love that part of my job, when people are no longer afraid to merge into a different culture and adopt it and make it part of who they are. That makes me really excited, and just to see the kids be able to be in a space where it's like it's for them. It's where they belong.
Absolutely. And with that, anyone who's wanting to learn, even me, if I had a little Black girl, I could not do her hair. So I would have to learn, right? Growing up in a white family. So I understand, even from my point of view and everyone's point of view, but reach out. go learn. Go hit her up. We'll put her on the socials as well. And we'll blast this because it's very important, and it's less about the hair and it's about the culture. It might be their only opportunity for these kids to even know what their Black culture's like. And in the Black community specifically, hair's a big deal and has been forever. So reach out if you want to learn more. She'll be here for you. A little buzzed, right?
Absolutely.
A little buzz.
I mean, I just want you to come to my salon so that I can tell you that you're important and that you belong.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Like it's about the hair, but it's not about the hair.
Yeah, and if your salon's
it's about people.
If your salon's like Black Barbers, you're going to be there a while talking. It is an experience, and you'll be there a lot longer than a 20-minute cut. I just want you to know that it's going to take a little time.
There's a barber shop around the corner from my salon, and we work together on things. It's a Black barber shop. I would call them multicultural as well because they do a lot of different services. But I refer people over there a lot of times, but I kind of give them like the warning because, you know, I have a lot of like white adopted parents coming in from suburbia. So I'm like, all right, listen, they're going to play music that you don't approve of. They're going to talk about things that are going to scare you a little bit. Like, it's all going to be okay. And you are going to have time and a fantastic job on your kid's hair. And like your kid is going to feel like $1 million after they leave. Like, just trust the process. But it's a little uncomfortable for a couple of them. But every time, you know, a few months later, I say like, "Hi, how's it going around the corner?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so great. It's like the highlight of our son's, you know, week when we get to go to see the barber." Absolutely love it. So.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you. We'll make sure that when this gets all cut up and put out, that the team lets you know, hey, it's coming out on this date, so you can watch it and spread it as well. But we appreciate your time, and we hope you have a good day. We'll follow up and do some summary as well. We just have back-to-back meetings, so we'll make sure to do that and reach out and help you any way we can.
Yes. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for taking the time. It was really fun. Great questions.
You're awesome. Keep it up.
Take care.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
The preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.